I'm Chess.com's first coach for the month and a two-time Australian chess champion. And I'm going to show you a situation where the queen and bishop are actually better than the queen and knight. You see, if you have some chess experience, you might know of the principle that the queen and knight are often better than the queen and the bishop. Because if you think about it, the queen is basically a combined rook and a bishop into one piece, right? Whereas the knight has a kind of unique movement. And when talking about the queen and knight, I often like to use the metaphor of Rocky and Adrian from the wonderful Rocky series of films I really love. Because what Rocky would say about Adrian is that they're a good match for each other because they fill one another's gaps. Rocky being the physical, very confident guy, and Adrian being like very smart but not always believing in herself. And so you can see how the knight moves very differently to queen. They can work very well when attacking the king. Now in this position, White played the move of queen to e5, just blocking the pawn like this. To which Black's best bet might actually have been to play queen to c7, trading off the queens and allowing Black to kind of move his pawns forward. And I think that if Sargsyan had played this as Black, he probably would have drawn the game quite comfortably. He was playing against Hovhannissian, so a game between two of the strong Armenian grandmasters. Sargsyan played queen f6, and Hovhannissian could have played the move of queen b8 to attack the weakness, but he ended up playing queen to d6, and after a little bit of a shuffle back and forth, then he played queen b8. And it's one thing you might notice about this structure, right, is that Black has one extra pawn island. He has 3 pawn islands to White's 2 pawn islands. And you might also notice how we are placing our pawns on the opposite color complex to our bishop, right? So it's kind of like the example of Capablanca's rule in play. White played the move bishop to c4. You could argue maybe bishop b5 is more precise, but bishop c4 is played in the game. We had knight f6, f3, and if you're enjoying the video so far, do make sure to leave a like and also hit the subscribe button. If you are already a subscriber, then what you can do is you can tap that notification bell and set the settings to all, and that will make sure that you get all of the videos in your feed. Note, by the way, that Black couldn't just take the pawn here because we do have the move queen takes f5 using the pin, so good example of tactics supporting strategy, as now Black is left with no less than 4 pawn islands. You can let me know in the comments below, have you heard of the game that was played between Spielman against Rubinstein? Because that one, even though it was a rook endgame, is a very good example of the dangers of having several pawn islands, and, well, maybe I'll even cover it for a video for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you would like that. Now in this position, I think what White should be trying to do is White should be trying to create a passed pawn on the queen side, far away from the king and the knight. And so I like the move a4, where, you can even try to fix the pawn on a7 as a weakness, right? Like, this is one of the very old Soviet principles of chess, fix the opponent's weaknesses in place. See how we're also fixing the e6 weakness, but with the queen rather than with a pawn, as it were. But okay, in the game, White played king c2, which does allow Black to get a little bit of freedom with queen b7. Queen e2, queen c6. So White's piece got forced back a little bit, but okay, White is still better because Black's piece are a little bit stuck defending e6 still. a4, so he gets on the right track now. a5, king b3. I mean, when you got the queens on the board, you definitely want to be a bit careful about a perpetual check, right? Like, that's how your opponent is often going to try to hold the draw. But in this instance, you can always meet queen b6 with king a2, so it's not really a problem. And something else to understand with the battle of the bishop and the knight is that the bishop tends to be a lot stronger than the knight when there are passed pawns on both sides of the board, which is why Hovhannissian's queen a8 is so strong, because if Black were to take, the problem for Black is that it's very hard for the knight to try and catch the white a pawn, but the white bishop is just perfectly placed to deal with Black's connected passes, so that at the end of the day, it will just take too long for Black to move those pawns to queen, right? So Black plays queen c7, trying to defend the pawn, but that's also quite passive. Not quite sure why White didn't just play queen f8 and just, leave Black kind of almost in a zugzwang of sorts. Because, wherever the queen goes, you're kind of giving up a bit of ground in a sense. But, okay, the game saw bishop b5, king f7, and, White had kind of lost most of his advantage when he missed this queen f8 opportunity. After a couple more slightly imprecise moves, Black was able to throw in this knight h5 trick, realizing that the queen is a little overloaded. Obviously, don't want to just give up the f4 pawn for free. But after queen h5 takes, yeah, the game just ended in a draw where the reason why it repeated moves is that, like, let's say you play king to b3, for example. Like, black can even just go c4 and, you know, either take the pawn with check or, you know, king a3. They can play, like, queen to h1. And like, you can sort of see how it's a little bit awkward for white with his king, right? That you're definitely not playing for a win in a position like this one. So, yeah, that was a fun little game from the Stepan Avagyan Memorial of 2024, showing two of the modern champions of the Armenian School of Chess. They have a very instructive game. Hope that you enjoyed it. I'll take it if you made it in a video that you did. There should be another suggested video coming up for you as well here at the end, so enjoy that one, and yeah, see you in the next training. Take care.